20 years since you were reunited with your family. How did you get here so gracefully?
I don't know if it's been gracefully, but I mean, I would say it is a miracle because I definitely remember a time when I couldn't imagine ever being able to say 20 years or even 10 years for that matter. It just seemed too, I don't know, too huge for my little mind to comprehend. I mean, it just seemed that everything that I had been through, it was so just horrific and shocking that trying to look into the future felt incredibly intimidating and impossible. So gracefully, maybe not, but miraculously and very thankfully.
Appeared gracefully, I guess,
well,
to many
that's
of
good.
us. Right at the beginning, you have such a nice, tight-knit family. How did they help you take those baby steps to recovery?
My family, they were, I mean, it's what I had held on to for 9 months. I mean, they were the reason why I survived, was believing that they'd still love me, that they'd still want me back, that they'd still be there for me. And so coming home and being able to be with them was, I mean, it was everything I prayed for.
It had to be intensive therapy to help you and your family through all of this.
I believe in therapy. I am a strong advocate and supporter of therapy. But when I was young, when I first returned, I didn't really understand what it was. In my mind, I had a very wrong idea of what it was. But in my mind, it was going into a room full of shelves filled with books, with an old man sitting at his desk with like glasses perched on the end of his nose, like leaning across his like hands like this, and then me lying on like a leather settee. And I remember thinking, no, that's not, why would that help me? He couldn't possibly understand what I went through. He wasn't there. Like, what gives him like the right to tell me what's going to help me now when he wasn't there? He doesn't know what it was like. So I had a very misguided idea of what therapy was. So although my parents were very supportive and they're like, Elizabeth, let's go to therapy, or let's go to this, let's go to that, I just didn't understand what it was. So I said that I did not want to go. I didn't want to talk about it with anyone. I didn't want to see a therapist. I didn't want to talk to someone who could pretend or thought that they could relate to me when I didn't feel like anyone could. So I did not go the traditional path. That being said, I look back at myself now, having a much better understanding of what therapy is now. And do I think that it could have helped? Yeah, I think it could have. Do I think it could have made a difference for me? Yeah, I think it could have. But I didn't know that then, and it's in the past, so I can't go back and redo it. But I do think there are so many wonderful, disciplines of therapy, and I strongly support and advocate for anyone who needs that extra help in their life. There's nothing shameful or embarrassing about going to it. I mean, personally, I think it's a very evident sign of strength, because therapy is hard. I mean, as an adult, as I have experienced therapy now, and as I've spoken with other survivors, every one of my acquaintance that has been and has taken it seriously has always said those mental workouts are much harder than any kind of workout you could get in the gym. So,
well, it seems like you kind of created your own therapy then. I've heard it described as anybody who goes through trauma kind of kicks into a survival mode. I know when I went through cancer treatment, it was get up and go to work, and I didn't want anybody to worry about me. And you didn't realize that I was really scared until years later. But every trauma is a little bit different, and every treatment's a little bit different. Did you have your own kind of therapy? Just playing the harp?
Yes. So, I mean, my parents, because they were so worried about me when I said no, they went to therapy. And I think their therapist said, ultimately it's okay. Like, let her make this choice. You're going to be her biggest therapist anyway, so you need to make sure you're both in a healthy enough place that you can actually be there for her. So I'm also a huge proponent of self-care. But so my parents were they were huge in my healing and supporting me and helping me work through whatever I was feeling at the time. Playing the harp, yeah, it has been a big part of my life. Things that I didn't feel like I could articulate in words, I felt like I could express through music. Being outside, I love being outside. My grandpa, he used to take me up horseback riding in the mountains, and I think that was my very, very most favorite thing.
An organic therapy.
Before and after my kidnapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how are your parents now?
They're both doing well in their separate lives. Yeah.
Did helping you help them a little bit?
I honestly couldn't say.
Yeah.
Because I, at that point in my life, I mean, I would say that I was fairly self-aware, but at the same time, I mean, my parents had always been my parents, and in my mind, like, that was always their responsibility. So me taking into consideration what they might possibly be going through at that point in time, it didn't enter. I still saw it as, well, you still had the whole family, and I'm back now, so like, your happiness should be complete.
It's all better.
Yeah, exactly. It's all better. I mean, it was very one-sided, but now, as an adult myself, and having kids myself, becoming a mother myself, I'm just like, oh my goodness, I don't even know how they did it.
As a parent, how do you relate to them now? Can you imagine?
No, I can't imagine. I mean, it makes me want to throw up when I think about it too much. I can't imagine. I hope I never have to learn what it was like for them, because I can't stand it. I can't stand that thought.
What do your kids know?
So my older two, well, my oldest, she could tell you like the very rough outline of the story. She couldn't go into details or anything. I don't think she's quite age appropriate, and she's very sensitive. And I think it's good to answer questions when they are asked, but I also think it's good to not just dump and unload on them more than they're ready to handle or process. So,
I mean, every parent has a fear. You lived it.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be too dramatic or create a bigger fear than is real.
Yeah. And I mean, she's 8. I don't think she's ready to hear details about being raped. So she could tell you, like, vaguely what happened. My little boy, he doesn't care that much, to be honest. That doesn't interest him in quite the same way it does my older daughter, and my youngest. I mean, she's just the boss anyway, so.
And she's how old?
She just tells everyone else what to do. She's 4.
4, okay. And she's the boss.
She's the boss, yeah.
At what point did you realize that turning something so horrible into something positive would help you? Was that a little therapeutic?
I don't know if it was honestly a conscious decision that was ever made. My dad always emphasized the importance of service, and my grandparents emphasized the importance of service. I feel like my whole family always emphasized the importance of service, and how if you stay somewhere, you should leave it better than you found it. If you borrow someone's car, it doesn't matter like how full the gas tank was, you should return it full. And if you, hopefully, when you die, you leave the world a better place than when you found it. The world was better for having you be a part of it than not. And I feel like that was always kind of my family's mentality. And so my dad, he was always trying to advocate. I mean, from the day that I got home, it wasn't just like a celebration of me coming home, but then his focus was, on getting the Amber Alert passed through, and raising awareness for other missing children, and being involved in different search efforts, and helping to shed light on cases that didn't have attention or notoriety at all. And I feel like little by little he pulled me in, and he'd ask me that makes it sound like I was coerced. He did not. I would say I was intrigued in. He'd ask me things like, what do you think of this? Do you think this would have made a difference in your case? Do you feel like this, if you had known this, would this made a difference to you? And it was kind of those questions along the way, or being like, what do you think of this? Or me asking him, oh, where are you going? Him being like, oh, I'm going to Capitol Hill. I'm going to go talk about this today. And being like, oh, well, I want to come. That kind of naturally led me into this path, and now
Intrigued was a good word.
Now I don't feel like I could, like in my heart of hearts, I don't feel like I could go down any other path. I mean, I have many interests and I have many hobbies, but I think whenever an issue would come up, or if I knew something, I would always feel like I was hiding from what I was supposed to be doing.
And now you're doing that instead. Are there times, though, when you want to hide, when the memories come back and you have a rough time?
I don't know that there are times from my past that come back that make me want to hide, but I think everyone has days where you're just like, I just need to leave. Or I've had enough, I need a break. I think everyone could probably find commonality in that sentiment.
But nothing from the memories of that event. Have you stored them away? Have you filed them away of all the horrible things that happened?
They're not something that I think about on a daily basis. But I certainly have shared my story far and wide, and I am able to talk about it, and I'm okay. I would say that it affects me in the things that I then choose to consume. I mean, TV shows or movies or books or podcasts. I don't want to watch violence, and I don't want to watch highly emotional things, and I don't want to feel scared or feel worried, or I don't want to see people willfully choosing to hurt other people. I don't need any of that extra in my life. So, once I'm done speaking, or once I'm done advocating, or whatever I've done during the day, when it's then nighttime, I usually watch the lightest, fluffiest stuff you can possibly find.
Or children's shows.
Or
with
actually,
your kids.
I'm kind of over that.
With your kids.
But yes.
Yeah. And you do play with your kids. Do you have any hobbies? What stuff do you do during the day?
So last night, actually, we were all out skiing together. So that was fun. This winter, my kids have all been in lessons and on the ski team, so that's got us out to ski together every weekend. And I'm sure we've probably all reached our capacity for being excited about the snow falling.
Right.
But
Enough.
if there was ever a winter to enjoy it, I'm glad it was this one.
And your day job is a passion that you have now, and you're actually turning what happened to you into something positive for other people, and even to prevention.
Yes. So in 2011, my dad and we started the Elizabeth Smart Foundation, and we were much more of a passive organization. We kind of did things a little bit more behind the scenes, and then the pandemic hit, and I felt like we needed to be doing so much more than what we were doing. And actually in 2022, last year, just over a year ago, one of the most exciting things that happened was that we joined forces with the Maloof Foundation. And that has just been incredible, because all of a sudden, there's so much more manpower and energy and I want to say force behind each of our initiatives, which has been really great. And, a lot of the questions that I get asked when I go out and speak are things like, how can I help? What can I do? And actually, some of our resources are great ways that you can help. Taking these resources, doing these resources will be a great way to help. The first one is called iamonwatch.org. It is learning how to recognize the signs of human trafficking, what to do. And this is not just good for specifically human trafficking, but just recognizing red flags in general. And being aware of what's around you. I mean, it's completely free. You just go online and take it and get educated. That's what I'm asking you to do. The other thing that is also really amazing is our other app. It's called Raise. It's available on all app store platforms, but it's also a tool to help you communicate better with your kids. There has been such a, I want to say it's 98% increase of online victimization since the pandemic. I mean,
Right.
that's, that is so much.
Kids are being taken advantage of.
Like, it's horrific. And, honestly, when I first started speaking and people would be like, oh, well, what can I do? It was kind of easy to be like, well, don't let computers be in private bedrooms. Keep them out in the main area. Make sure you're just in the area when people are on them. But you can't say that. Everyone has a tiny computer in their hand that their life is connected to. So the best thing you can do is communicate with them. And this Raise app, what it does is it helps you create opportunities to have those conversations, educates you so you are able to address topics of, sexual victimization, online predatory behavior, even things like cyberbullying, even things that are not necessarily immediately connected to sexual exploitation, but still things that are very important for parents to have conversations about with their kids.
And so, tips on how to talk to your kids about it.
Because I mean,
even younger
people
ones.
ask me like all the time, and I'm like, I've only been a parent for 8 years. Like, you think I'm an expert in this already? Like, please, you have 26-year-old twins. Like, please, you tell me what comes next.
But you have professionals who help walk through it.
But yes, so there are both these apps were developed not by me personally.
Right.
It might be a bit messy if it was just up to me. No, there were professionals and experts.
Like you said, the manpower surrounding this has been great.
Exactly. It's been incredible. Yeah.
And then the smart defense
And
as well.
smart defense, yeah. I was on a plane a few years ago and I fell asleep and, a man reached across and was like rubbing the inside of my leg. And I was so shocked, I just froze, which I would like to say is a natural response. I mean, fight, flight, freeze, and appease. And I froze. And when I got off the plane, I just remember thinking, this is not okay. If this is happening to me up in business class, in the middle of the day, it wasn't even a night flight. In the middle of the day, what else is happening to other people everywhere else? And this is not okay. Maybe we need to become a bit more vocal, and maybe we need to become a bit more physical. If my daughter ever gets in trouble for defending herself, for fighting someone, and I find out it's because she was defending herself, we're celebrating. Yeah. We're going to go to Hawaii for that, because I would rather be called down to the principal's office, but know that she protected herself, than have something, unchangeable happen.
Yeah.
Irreversible happen.
Like what happened to you.
Like what happened to me.
You were 14. How young should we be talking to kids?
I think you can start immediately from when they're little. We always talk about safety, no, don't stick your finger in the socket. We have gates up so our babies don't fall down the stairs. My little boy, he might roll his eyes at me, or he might not really care about a lot of the things that I do. But when I come down and I'm really strict with him, I'm like, no, you cannot do this. And then I'll be like, do you understand why you can't do this? And he'll be like, yes, it's because you want us to stay safe. I think these are conversations that grow with your kids. You start out very simple, and then you grow with them as your child grows.
Then they learn to protect themselves.
And then that builds that trust level of communication that, heaven forbid, anything ever happens to them, but if it does, they can tell you. The amount of times I've heard from survivors that they were told, oh, we have to keep it a secret. We have to keep it a secret. Your parents won't love you. Your parents will get in trouble. That kind of manipulation and dialogue is so devastating.
It's brainwashing.
And exactly. And so making sure that your child understands that and knows that they always need to tell you that you are their safe person, that you are their person. That needs to be a lifetime of building, not just yesterday, not just an hour.
Well, it seems like you're doing a lot with Maloof, with the self-defense and education and speaking. What's the main thing you hope people come away with?
I hope that, as cliche as these sound, I hope that survivors, that everyone, because, I mean, not everyone's story is the same, but everyone does have a story. I mean, you have a story, I have a story. I hope people really do realize that they are special, that they are unique, they have something wonderful to offer the world that nobody else does. I hope they recognize that circumstance or other people cannot take away their value. It doesn't matter what's happened to them, that doesn't lessen their worth in any way. And I hope that they recognize that, yes, this terrible thing has happened. It's very easy to feel defined by that, but ultimately you get to decide who you are, and you get to decide if you like the person who you are, or if you're proud of the person who you are, by the decisions that you make going forward. You get to decide who you are.
I think people really want to know if you're really okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I do laundry and cook dinner and potty train my kids the same way as everyone else has.
Yeah.
And I'm great.
But to have been through so much that is unimaginable for most of us.
I mean, being a kid, honestly, like, my dream was to grow up and be a mom. That's what I wanted. That's what my sister and we played dolls, we played dress-ups, and it was always, growing up and having kids and having a family. And my life is absolutely different than what I imagined it, but it's also so much better because not only do I have the joy and happiness of having a wonderful family myself and being able to be married and have someone that I care about so deeply and have all of these things that I dreamed of having, but I also get to do something every day that I know makes an impact and makes a difference and hopefully educates people so that maybe someday, hopefully before I die, we can see the statistics start to change and we can see the culture take a bigger shift and we can see real change happen.
Well, even education and early detection will help so many people.
Absolutely. I mean, education, kids there's so much pressure on schools and teachers to teach this and teach that and make sure this. So this is not me criticizing them at all. I have the deepest respect for teachers. But I think of what we are taught in schools as far as safety goes. I remember being taught stop, drop, and roll if you catch on fire. I remember having fire drills.
Hide under the desk in an earthquake.
Hide under a desk in an earthquake. Yeah, I'm absolutely heartbroken to think that kids are taught safety training of what to do if an active shooter comes into schools and stuff like that. Tears me apart. But I also think another key component that we really should be focusing on is what to do if you are assaulted. I mean, every 68 seconds, someone is sexually assaulted. Every 9 minutes, that person is a child. And 25% of all female college undergrad students have a rape, like a violent rape completed on them. And you are twice as likely to be raped as a student, like a college student, than you are to be robbed.
And so many don't come forward.
And those numbers, they should terrify everyone. And so we really should be talking about, what do you do? And what do you do if someone discloses to you? Because that's a huge responsibility as well. And, where's the stop, drop, and roll of that? I mean, I don't know, I couldn't tell you statistics on how many people have used that stop, drop, and roll to save themselves, but I would venture to guess the statistics for the likelihood of people to be sexually assaulted are probably much higher than people to catch on fire. And so why are we not addressing that a little bit more?
Well, and you want people to come forward, the We Believe You campaign.
Yep, We Believe You. I mean, that's one of my favorite campaigns, initiatives. We run it all November long, and it is an educational campaign that we run to educate communities on how to respond when someone discloses, but also to help survivors know that we do believe them. I've presented in every state, and anytime I have the opportunity to mix and meet with people, I always have people disclose to me. And too many times it's been, I've never told anyone this before, or I tried to tell someone this and they didn't believe me, so I've never spoken about it again. How can that be acceptable to anyone?
Well, you weren't believed in some cases. You told me once that you've had people say, oh, it didn't really happen.
Yeah, I mean, those have been very few. The vast majority, I mean, they stick out because they were so shocking.
Yeah.
The vast majority of people have believed me and supported me, and I really think that's made a huge difference in my recovery, because it has only been like the outliers and the people that I have many questions about that say those kinds of things.
Right.
But if your whole support base said, no, that didn't happen, or no, I don't believe
Or
you.
even the first person didn't believe you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
Oh.
devastating would that be?
Yeah. Thank you for making people aware.
Thank you.